Anyone who's not an attorney or will be giving testimony, please raise your right hand.
Yeah, I swear on the oath.
Ms. Castro, I need you to raise your right hand, please. Do each of you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Help me God. Yes, sir. I do. Yes, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down now. All right. Mr. Cabrera has announced not ready, and Ms. Castro has stated that her attorney is not present. Was the father served by any chance, Ms. Thompson?
No, Your Honor, the father was not served.
All right. Then I will be willing to grant the not ready for Mr. Cabrera because we don't have notice citation to his client. Who did you retain, Ms. Castro?
Solis. I'm sorry, Brad Solis.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you said. It broke up.
Brad Solis.
Is anybody else able to hear what she's saying, or is there some sort of audio issue? Yeah, I think you're too far away from your machine.
Brad Solis.
All right, where is he?
In court.
Did you tell him that you had a hearing today?
Yes, I did. I just retained him last night.
Miss Greenlee, was anything filed? Hang on, Miss Castro. Hang on, Miss Castro. Hang on. Miss Greenlee, was anything filed from Mr. Solis's office today?
No, sir. Nothing was filed.
Does anybody else have any notice of any sort of pleadings, notice of appearance, answer, anything that's been filed?
No, Your Honor.
It was 3 o'clock in the morning, sir. Your Honor.
You hired an attorney at 3 a.m.?
I've been in communication with him for a few days.
Okay. I have a few questions for you.
He asked me to request a 7-day extension so that he could gather more evidence.
Okay. I'm going to set forth some rules for you here. You don't speak unless I ask you a question or one of the attorneys asks you a question. That's how court works. And that's not me trying to be rude to you. That's the only way this works because I'm recording everything. And I have to be efficient, and I can't have anybody talking over anybody else or interrupting anybody else.
Noted.
So I'm going to ask you some questions now, and all I want you to do is answer the question I'm asking you. I don't want any other information that is not pertinent or relevant to the question I'm asking you. Okay?
And these are legally obligated to answer questions?
Oh, I'm the judge, so what do you think?
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Okay.
Go ahead, Your
I'm
Honor.
not going to ask you any questions without your attorney here that are going to.
He's not here.
Ma'am, you've got to stop talking while I'm talking. I've been patient. It doesn't last forever. And you're not doing yourself any favors by interrupting me repeatedly. I'm not going to ask you any questions that are going to jeopardize your constitutional rights to a fair and impartial hearing. I'm going to ask you questions about your decisions that you've made so far with regard to representation and procedure. Yes, you have to answer those questions.
Fair. Thank you, Your Honor.
You originally asked or had an affidavit of indigency. Did you fill one out stating that you needed a court-appointed attorney?
No, I refused. I'm not indigent.
Okay. I wanted to make sure you didn't fill one out. So you were given a conditional appointment then. So you're telling the court here today that you do not want a court-appointed attorney?
Correct. I am not indigent. I make very good money, Your Honor.
That's wonderful. I'm going to excuse Ms. Mance from this hearing. And later on down the road, if you tell me that you can no longer afford to pay your attorney, it's going to be your responsibility to contact the court and let us know that you now need an attorney, and it's going to be your responsibility to prove that you're indigent because of what you're telling me today. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not indigent. I am not in That's what that means, correct? That I'm in poverty?
It's one of the meanings of the word indigent, yes, for
Not
our
in poverty, Your
purposes.
Honor.
Okay,
I make a very good income.
okay, all right. I don't need, again, I told you I only want answers that are relevant and pertinent to my question.
I refuse to sign a form that states that I'm in poverty and that I cannot afford my own attorney. Yes, that is true.
I don't need to hear anything else about it.
Okay.
My next question is that you understand that if I reset this case, because your attorney's not here today,
Mhm.
and we come back and your attorney's not here, you don't have counsel, I'm not going to give you another reset. You're going to have to go forward on your own.
He did explain that to me. He said I can only do this once.
And you're sure you understand?
He informed me that this is a one-time shot.
Wait till I'm done asking questions before you answer them. I'm teaching you these rules now because when we have our hearing and you keep answering questions before the person is done asking them, or you keep interrupting,
Sorry,
things
sir.
are not going to go well. You need to
It's
wait
my
to speak until you're done being spoken to. Ms. Greenlee, what do we have as far as a reset date is concerned?
How much time are we looking at for this hearing?
I don't know how much time the state needs, but this is an adversary hearing for temporary orders. And as everybody knows, I'm not going to give it all day. I might give it 2 hours at tops 3. Doesn't take that long to put on evidence for removal.
We can reset to October 30th at 1:30.
What else?
I'm good with that, Judge.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cabredo.
Because we are delaying this case further based upon what I consider gamemanship by the mother and her appearance and demeanor in court today, I would ask that there be no further visitation with her and the children until that hearing.
Well, I want to, before I answer that question, Mr. Cabredo, were you saying something?
I have no problem with that setting on the 30th.
Ms. Mance, I'm going to excuse you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your work so far on the case. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Judge.
I want to make some things clear on the record before I make any decisions. Ms. Castro, I know you haven't been in front of me before. And I want you to understand that I'm very fair, very impartial, and I give everybody their fair shot with their case and their evidence. And I'm patient, but there's a point where I will cease to be patient. And that point comes when I feel like somebody doesn't have respect for this court or these proceedings. Notice I didn't say respect for me. I said for this court.
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't have to like the person in the row, but you have to have respect for the court, and you have to have respect for the court's rules. So I want to make it abundantly clear to you that if we come back on the 30th and you pull anything trying to get a delay, or you show, and I'm going to be honest with you, you have shown a lack of requisite respect for the court in this short period of time that we've been here. Shaking your head at me, no, is not going to help you either.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. It's not a disrespect for you, Your Honor. It is disrespect for the people who have lied.
Right. Okay. But you're interrupting me, and that's disrespectful to the court. It's slowing me down. It's slowing this process down. And you can have your opinions and your position as to what you think about what's been said about you, and that's fine. That's your case. I respect that. But how you treat the other people in this courtroom is a big deal to me.
I'm sorry, Your
We're
Honor.
all going to have respect for each other. We're not going to interrupt people. We're not going to talk over people. That's not going to go well if you do that. I can promise you.
I
I don't
understand.
do it.
My
I don't.
apologies.
Okay, you've got to stop talking while I'm talking. I appreciate you saying you understand, but you have got to stop talking while I'm talking. Now I'm getting to the point where I'm going to lose my patience because I've made it very clear that I don't want you to do that. Because if you're talking while I'm talking right now, then there's a good chance you're probably going to continue to do it when we have a court reporter here and we have a contested hearing and we're taking evidence. And that absolutely cannot happen. I will shut you down. And if you continue to do it, I'll either remove you from the courtroom or I'll find you in contempt of court. I don't want to do either one of those things. But you have to have respect for this court and these proceedings. And you will, one way or the other.
May I respond?
No, you may not. Your attorney's not here. You're represented by counsel. I'll only want to hear from your attorney from this point forward until he has a question for you. We're going to reset to October 30th, 2024 at 1:30. October 30th, 2024 at 1:30. Because I don't have evidence to help me make any decisions, to the contrary, I have to err on the side of caution. So I'm going to grant the ad litem's request to suspend all visitation until we come back. I'm not going to take any evidence, but I have to err on the side of caution in the best interest of the children. I'm going to extend the order for emergency orders based on good cause that Miss Castro has shown up today and on her own behalf requested a continuance of this hearing and has stated on the record that she is represented now by Brad Solis, who is not present here today. I have admonished, and I want this in the order, Ms. Thompson. I've admonished Ms. Castro that we are proceeding on October 30th at 1:30, whether her counsel is here or not. I will not entertain any other extensions or any other types of continuance. The only thing I will entertain is an agreement. If the parties do not have an agreement at 1:30, we're not going to spend any time conferring. We're going straight into the hearing at 1:30. So if there's any agreement that's going to be made, it's got to be made prior to that time. We're not going to spend any time conferring that day. Ms. Thompson, is there anything I failed to address?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
All right, that'll be the order of the court. There will be no further notice. This is the only notice you're going to get, memorialized by an order signed by me. So I'll see you all at 1:30 on October 30th. Thank you for your time and your service. All parties are excused. Ms. Castro, are you able to turn on your video? Ms. Castro, I don't know if you can hear me, but I need to see you. I need you to turn on your video, please. All right, well, we have lost her and we're waiting for Mr. Cabrera to be here. I'm going to go ahead and call the case. Hopefully we get everybody on and back so we can begin. Court calls cause number 24-618 in the interest of Robert Castro Jr. et al. In the 451st Judicial District Court of Kendall County, Texas. I'm having to stream from outside of Kendall County today. Are there any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Thompson, would you please begin the announcements?
Jessica Thompson on behalf of the department.
Taylor Gonzalez, family-based caseworker.
Ashley Crouch, belong permanency supervisor.
Kathleen Savage, attorney and guardian attorney ad litem for the children, Your Honor.
Sarah Woods, Hill Country CASA case supervisor.
Anyone who is present and is not an attorney or will be giving testimony, please raise your right hand. Do each of you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You can put your hands down. We had Miss Castro here, just for the record's sake. She was present. And then I asked her to turn on her video, and then I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, but we lost her. It is now 1:39. I made it very clear last week on the 24th, when I reset this, that we would be proceeding today at 1:30, regardless of whether or not Ms. Castro had an attorney. She did, and for the record, she did make an appearance on the 24th. In this case, she was aware of these proceedings. I made an order in open court that she was to be back here today for the proceeding. So if she does not come back in, we're going to move forward and I'll find her in default. The other issue I have is that Mr. Cabrera's client is not here either. Mr. Cabrera has been appointed based on the limited appointment that I do at the beginning of every case. Mr. Castro has not appeared in opposition to this case, either last week or today, and has not requested an attorney, and he has been personally served. So I believe I can move forward whether Mr. Cabrera is here or not. I think we've got Ms. Castro logging back in.
Your Honor, can I say something? I'm the kid's grandmother.
Yes, ma'am.
And Robert's mother, he was served yesterday with the papers.
Okay. Well, then he's been served. Where is he?
He is in Dallas in a rehab center. He gets out on Monday.
Okay. Well, we're going to proceed today. So
yes.
He's got an attorney here. Mr. Cabrera is now here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Castro, are you there? I need to see you. I need you to sit somewhere where I can see you. Okay. Now I can't see you again. You're going to have to put the phone up to where I can see you so that we can have this hearing. All right, real quick before we get started, I need you to go cover up your shoulders. Go put on something that's more suitable for a courtroom, please. All right, Mr. Cabrera, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Your Honor, I can. My apologies. I lost track of time.
I appreciate it. But you want to go ahead and announce for the record, everybody else has already announced, and I've already sworn the witnesses.
Yes, Judge. Marco Cabrera, I represent Mr. Robert Castro Sr. He's not present. I've had no contact with him. My understanding, he is currently incarcerated.
Ms. Castro, are you there? Okay, Ms. Castro, if you could please unmute and state your name for the record. Can you state your name? Can you say it again, please?
Amy Castro.
Okay. All right. We are here for the adversary hearing that I reset from last week. You had informed me that you had retained Brad Solis.
Solis, yes, I have been unable to contact him today. I don't know why.
Well, he hasn't filed anything on our case, and his office informed my coordinator that they do not represent you.
I paid him $4,000.
That's between you and Mr. Solis, but he's not here today. And I made an order that we were going to move forward today, whether you had counsel or not.
That's fine.
Okay. Now, I want to remind you of a few ground rules. First of all, I need you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. Are you okay right now? You appear to me to be under the influence of something or ill.
Oh, no, I'm just upset.
Okay. You're not under the influence of anything right now?
No, I'm just upset.
Okay. Well, we're going to proceed. I'm going to proceed because Mr. Cabrera is here. His client, as he stated, is incarcerated. Ms. Castro is here. Ms. Castro, you understand that because of your representation to the court last week that you were going to be here with an attorney. I did not appoint one for you. You said you were not indigent. I said we would be moving today. We'll be moving forward today, whether you had an attorney or not, because I gave you the opportunity to get one or to have one appointed to you. So you need to understand that as we move forward through this hearing, I'm going to treat you as if you were your own attorney, and I'm going to hold you to the same rules as all the other attorneys. I'm not going to let you do anything that's outside of the rules the other attorneys have to operate by, and I'm going to expect you to be able to represent yourself as if you were an attorney yourself, because that's what you basically asked me to do. You did not ask me to appoint you an attorney, and you don't have one here today. I also want to remind you of my rules. You don't speak unless I tell you you can speak or somebody asks you a question, one of the officers of the court. The officers of the court are the attorneys and myself. And you don't speak unless one of us asks you a question or I tell you that it's your turn to ask a question because you're here representing yourself. It's 1:46. I'm probably going to cap this out at about 2 hours. Unless I'm hearing something really pertinent and relevant that I haven't heard yet, I'm probably going to stop this at 2 hours. So everybody needs to be very mindful of the time. Any housekeeping issues we need to take up before we start? No? Okay. With that, then, do the parties waive opening or does somebody want to make an opening?
I'll waive opening, Your Honor.
I'll waive as well.
Okay. Then, Ms. Thompson, please call your first witness.
Your Honor, the department calls Ms. Garza.
All right. Ms. Garza has been sworn. You may proceed.
Ms. Garza, what is your relationship to Mr. and Mr. Castro?
Mr. Castro, he is my mom's ex-husband.
And Ms. Garza, when were the children placed with you?
I believe it was September 24th.
And why were they placed with you? Why were they placed there?
They were placed with me because their dad was, I don't know if he's incarcerated or in rehab, but he's not here. And then my mom had a warrant, so she was taken.
And during their placement, when did Ms. Castro reach out to you?
She didn't, or she did initially when she was incarcerated. And then I had explained to her due to the protective order that she couldn't have contact with the children. And so therefore she couldn't have contact with me while they were under my care.
Okay. And also during their placement, what help did she give you during their placement?
I believe it was $20 or $30 via CashApp. I don't remember the exact amount.
And did you ask for more in financial support for the children?
No, I did not.
And what was Ms. Castro's response to the children's placement with you?
I believe she only wanted them placed with me. So I believe she was happy that they were with me.
And when was the last time you had contact with Ms. Castro?
I believe a week and a half ago.
And what safety concerns do you have of the children returning to Mr. and Mr. Castro?
With my mom specifically?
Yes.
Okay. With my mom, it would be just not necessarily physical abuse, just more emotional or neglect. I believe that she needs to seek some counseling and better herself before they should return.
Okay. And have you personally witnessed Ms. Castro be emotionally abusive to the children or neglectful of the children?
To them specifically, just when they would come visit my abuela, Leticia Hernandez, they would look like they hadn't showered, or I guess personal hygiene wise, that they didn't look like they were, I don't know what the properly groomed, I guess, was the word that I'm looking for.
Okay. And on how many occasions have they looked unkempt or not properly groomed?
Most of the time that I had seen them, they had like an odor to them, like a body odor. And then I could see the I don't know what it's called, but when you don't brush your teeth, I think it's calculus or something around their teeth. It was visible.
Okay. And what are the ages of Mila and Robert Castro?
Robert is 10, turning 11 in a few days, and then Mila is 7.
And have you ever witnessed Ms. Castro intoxicated?
Yes.
And when was that?
When I first had moved in with my abuela, most times I saw her, she was intoxicated. But recently, when I had seen her, it was hard to tell. I couldn't tell if she was or she wasn't.
And could you describe what you observed of Ms. Castro's being intoxicated at the time?
It was kind of like loose flow, like her body, she was loose. She would kind of trip over her feet. Her verbiage was different. She would never refer to me. She calls me Des or Desiree. She would never refer to me by that. It was always just love, baby, very, very lovey. And from growing up, she was never usually like that. It was very, I guess, authoritative. Like, I'm your mom. I'm not your friend. So it's very obvious when she's extremely intoxicated because her demeanor changes. She's very, very lovey, very sweet, and more emotional.
Ms. Thompson, I want to ask a clarifying question because I want to make sure I understand. What is the relationship between Ms. Garza and Ms. Castro exactly?
Miss Garza, or sorry, I'm Miss Garza. Miss Castro is my mom.
Biological mom?
Yes, I'm the firstborn.
Okay, I'm just making sure. And what is your age?
I'm 21.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Your Honor. And how has Ms. Castro's drinking impacted her parenting?
Oh, she's not the same person who raised me. That's something that I've said to her personally a few times. I've asked her what happened. She was a very, very type A parent. She was a single mom raising 4 kids. She always got us to school on time. She made sure that we had clean clothes, that we were bathed, that our grades were good. She kept up with everything. Now it's the kids weren't getting to school on time. There were tardies. Their clothes weren't clean. They were wearing inappropriate, I guess, clothing for the weather type. Like Mila was wearing long sleeves in the summer because that's all that I guess was clean or that she had.
And what were the living conditions of Ms. Castro's residence?
The apartment?
Yes.
It was pretty bare. I think there was a TV in the living room with Jason's Xbox. There was her dining room table. And then in the kids' room, there was a blow-up mattress, and then it looked to be a little cot in the corner with blankets and a pillow. I'm assuming that's where Jason slept. And then in her bedroom, there was no bed. It was just a bunch of paperwork, books, like pens, just kind of scattered everywhere.
Was there anything that you, any other items or anything there that you seen that raised concerns, safety concerns for the kids?
I had gone over once, I guess the Sunday before they were placed with me, and we had talked, and there was an assortment of pills on the counter that she said that were from work that just needed to be thrown away, but they weren't labeled or in a prescription vial.
I'm sorry, Miss Garza, excuse me. Miss Castro, is there something on your phone that's more important than listening to your daughter testify as to why your children should be removed from you?
No, I'm paying attention.
But you're holding a phone in your hand and you're looking at it and looking away from the camera. So do you have another device in front of you or not?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm paying attention to
Then what's in your other hand?
a phone.
Another phone. Right. It's your call if you want to pay attention to this or not. But it doesn't.
I am.
It doesn't. Don't speak. It doesn't look good if you're scrolling on a phone during this kind of
I'm
testimony.
not scrolling.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Garza. You can continue.
I'm sorry, I forgot what I was saying.
All right, Ms. Thompson, can you ask your question again? I apologize for the interruption, but go ahead.
As to the pill bottles, why were they concerning to you?
Just because they're young children, they weren't, the pills just were out on the counter. I know they're young, but they're curious. They can reach up. God forbid if one was ingested. All of them were unlabeled, so I wouldn't have known, or my mom wouldn't have known what the kids had ingested if, God forbid, they did.
And when did your mom called you to pick up your younger sister, Mila?
That was the Saturday before. I think it was the 20th, September the 20th.
And why did she reach out to you to pick up Mila?
She said Mila's behavior was being an issue. It was causing an issue with the babysitter. That Mila was kicking, screaming, and not listening to the babysitter.
Okay. And who was the babysitter?
I don't know her. Her name. All I know is her name was Maria.
And when you went to your mom's apartment to pick up Mila, what was the first thing you noticed about Mila?
So I had walked in and Maria told me Mila was in her room. So I knocked just to let her know that I was going to come in. I opened the door and I was like, Mila. And she was in between the air mattress and the wall. She had a blanket wrapped in herself. It looked like she was trying to hide. And she peeked her head up and she looked relieved to see me. And I asked her what she was doing. And she didn't answer. She just said, "You're coming to get me?" And I said, "Yes, like, let's go." But she just looked very scared. Like she didn't know what was coming or who was going to come get her.
And why did Mila look scared?
She had told me that Maria had told her that CPS was coming to get her. And she had been told that CPS is where they take bad kids and that they eat kitty litter, catnip, and that they live in very, very bad conditions.
And what was the state of Mila's bedroom when you went in there?
It looked to be tidy. The only thing was the bed wasn't made, but all of her clothes were hung up in the closet.
And who else was present at the residence?
Robert Castro Jr., Jason.
He's not a junior.
Ma'am, I warned you about this. Don't do it. Don't speak out of turn. And if you keep doing it, I'm going to mute you. And then if you don't stop, I'll remove you from the courtroom.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Garza.
And in what room was Robert located?
He was in the living room, so he saw me right as I had walked in.
And what did you notice about Robert when you walked into the living room?
He looked very anxious. He was hiding under, or he had on top of his head a laundry basket, and he was eating popcorn, kind of just like self-soothing, rocking back and forth. And he didn't say anything. He just waved at me, but he just looked very confused.
And did you find out why he seemed anxious?
No, I hadn't asked him. I just assumed it was because of Mila's behavior and whatever had been going on previously before I got there.
And when you arrived to pick up Mila, what did she bring with her?
She had a pink trash bag filled with clothes.
And do you recall what time you picked up Mila on that day?
No, I don't. I want to say it was around 11 a.m.
And when did you receive a call from your maternal aunt?
Which one?
I am directing your attention on September 21st. Why did your maternal aunt give you a call?
I'm so sorry. I don't remember. I don't know which aunt. I have 3 maternal aunts.
Miss Hernandez?
Claudia.
Which one? They're all.
Miss Castro, that's the second time. The third time, I'm going to remove you from the courtroom because we're not going to sit here all afternoon and listen to you interrupt the witnesses as they testify. Go ahead, Ms. Thompson.
Miss Hernandez?
I couldn't remember. I know who you're referring to, but I can't remember what the call was.
And on that day, who else did you speak to?
I had spoken to my boyfriend's mom, making sure that we could come over still because we had plans with them in the evening.
Did you speak to your mom?
I had spoken to her because she wanted to see how Mila was doing, and I told her that she had calmed down, but she was just checking in on Mila.
And how was your conversation to your mom, with your mom? What was her emotional state at the time?
When she called me to pick up Mila?
No, on September 21st.
She sounded very, I guess, worried about how Mila would be behaving with me.
Did she, what else did she mention on that day?
I know I had asked her if I could get Jason as well. She seemed anxious, and she said she would ask him if he wanted to go, and he didn't end up going with me that night as well.
And what was your mother's conversation with respect to substance abuse?
She had told me that she was drinking because back to Sunday, I had seen, I was looking at a picture that was on her fridge of my other sister who doesn't talk to her anymore. And she thought I was looking at this carton, called a beatbox. It looks like a protein shake, like juice. I had never seen it before, but she asked me, "Are you looking at that?" "Yes, it's alcohol." And I looked at her and I was like, what is, like, I was looking at the picture, and she had told me that the beatbox was alcohol. So she had told me after that she drank a little here and there to ease, I guess, the withdrawal symptoms or whatever, I don't know, whatever symptoms she was having to ease it. And then she had made a comment, because I had asked her, my family had told me, oh, she's probably on drugs. So I had asked her if she was. I wanted her to just be honest with me so I could try to get her help. And she had I asked if it was meth. She had made a comment that no, meth was a poor man's drug. but cocaine was a rich man's drug. And that's as much as she had said about that.
Your Honor, the department passes on this witness.
All right. Miss Castro, are you there? You are representing yourself, so you have the opportunity to question Miss Garza. But I want to make sure you understand, you can't testify. You can only ask her questions as if an attorney would. Do you have any questions for Miss Garza? You're muted.
Miss Garza, have you ever attempted suicide?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Sustained. You don't have to answer that question.
Medical records.
I sustain the objection. That's not relevant to what we're here for today.
It is, because it shows
I'm saying it's not. Overruled. I sustain the objection.
retaliation.
Your argument is overruled. Ask the next question.
Retaliation.
That's not a question.
Are you upset that I said I did not miss your sister?
No.
The night before you took my children, I said I didn't miss your sister, and you called the police. Retaliation.
Objection, Your Honor. That's
objection. Yes, I know. I understand.
That's not a question. You're making an argument. Do you have a question for Ms. Garza or not? I'm going to ask you again. Are you under the influence of something?
No, I'm very upset.
Well, you don't appear just to be upset. You appear to be under the influence of either a drug or an alcohol.
Sir, Your Honor, I am in a position where I'm losing my children, where I didn't do anything to them.
I understand that you are also
If
upset.
I appear to be,
I understand that you are also upset, ma'am.
if I appear to be under the influence or whatever you say, like, I'm sorry, but.
Okay, we're going to move on. Ms. Castro, do you have any other questions for Ms. Garza?
No.
No? Okay. Mr. Cabrera?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Savage?
Miss Desiree Garza, do you have concerns for your brother and sister if they were to be returned to your mother's care?
Oh.
You can answer, Ms. Garza.
Oh, sorry. I said yes.
Okay. And do you believe it's in their best interest to remain where they're at with their grandparents while Miss Castro works services?
Yes.
And do you believe Miss Castro needs help to address her addiction issues?
You.
Okay, Ms. Castro, I told you. I'm removing you. We're going to continue without her. You can answer the question, Ms. Garza.
Thank you, Judge. I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Do you believe Miss Castro needs help to address her addiction issues?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Next witness, Ms. Thompson.
Your Honor, the department calls Taylor Gonzalez.
Ms. Gonzalez has been sworn. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Gonzalez, what was the nature of the allegations that were made against the parents?
There were two separate intakes received in this case. The first was July 29th, 2024. for neglectful supervision of Robert Castro and Mila Castro by their mother, Amy Hernandez Castro, and sexual abuse of Robert Castro and Mila Castro by their father, Robert Castro Sr. The second intake was received on September 23rd for neglectful supervision of Robert Castro and Mila Castro by Amy Hernandez Castro, mother, and physical abuse of Mila Castro by mother Amy Castro.
And during the investigation, what were the facts necessitating removal?
During the family-based case?
Correct.
Okay. This case was received to family-based in a parental child safety placement after Amy was arrested on September 24th. The investigator met with Amy, and Amy requested that they were placed with Desiree Garza, her oldest daughter, and the paperwork was signed when she was incarcerated in Kendall County Jail. I met with Amy at the beginning of October, on October 1st, and explained my role in the family-based services case, and that we would be offering services to her. But our number one priority was to mitigate her substance use. That was the number one issue we wanted to start with. Right away, Ms. Castro was very difficult to communicate with. I couldn't really explain anything to her without her interrupting me or trying to get clarification on things that I wasn't talking about. She then said that she had retained an attorney and that she was not going to communicate with me or meet with me until her attorney was agreeable to a visit or a phone call with me. Ultimately, Ms. Garza could no longer be the parental child safety placement. Ms. Castro was notified that the department needed her to provide the name of an individual who could be the parental child safety placement. It took Ms. Castro 4 days to provide that information to the department. The department went through the necessary background checks, procedures, home visits to put that parental child safety placement into place. I attempted to meet with Amy Castro at her place of employment so she could just sign the paperwork to move the children, and she refused to come out and sign the paperwork and requested that I come at another time. With no parental child safety placement and safety concerns on behalf of Ms. Castro, as well as Mr. Castro continuing to be incarcerated, the department proceeded forward with the emergency removal.
And would continuation of the home be contrary to the welfare of the children at this time?
Yes.
Why?
I believe very strongly that Ms. Castro has severe substance use issues at this time. I believe that she also has very significant mental health concerns that are not being mitigated, that maybe are going hand in hand with her substance use.
And what services were recommended to the parents to avoid removal?
On day one, when I met with Ms. Castro, I immediately requested or informed her that we were going to be sending her for random drug and alcohol assessments. Random drug and alcohol testing. We're also going to recommend right away that she complete a drug and alcohol assessment and follow those recommendations, which included inpatient. When I notified her that if inpatient was the recommendation and it was the expectation that she go, she right away told me she would not be going to inpatient. Ms. Castro was interested in seeing a therapist, doing family therapy with Robert Castro and Mila, her children, as well as parenting. I told her that I was not going to have her start those services until her substance use was mitigated. I also requested that following the post-removal visit on October 15th, but she complete a UA, a hair follicle test. She told me she didn't have the time. I asked her to complete an oral swab right then and there because I had concerns she was under the influence during the visit, and she refused.
And Ms. Gonzalez, do you think it's in the best interest of the children to for the department to be named as a temporary managing conservator?
I do, yes.
And then explain why.
At this time, the department would have, again, significant concerns if the children were returned to Ms. Castro due to her substance use and unmitigated mental health. Mr. Castro Sr. is incarcerated at this time, but there are concerns for risk and for safety since he sexually perpetrated on Ms. Castro's older daughters.
Your Honor, I pass on the witness.
Well, Miss Castro has been removed from the courtroom due to the fact that she was getting belligerent and would not follow rules. So we'll skip over her and go straight to Mr. Cabrera.
Thank you, Judge. Have you made any contact with Mr. Castro?
The department sent a courtesy worker who met with him twice in his incarceration.
Okay. Well, what was the nature of their discussion?
The first visit was the courtesy worker explaining that we were attempting to get the children moved to his mother, Gina Castro, in a parental child safety placement. And then the removal was granted that day after she saw him. So the second visit was the worker providing the legal documents, having him sign the notice of removal and the caregiver resource form. Okay.
And did Mr. Castro relay his feelings as to this case?
Yes, he stated that he has nothing to do with Amy Castro and what's been going on with her, and that he wanted his children placed with his mother.
Okay, so he supported the placement?
The kids are not placed with his mother at this time.
Oh, I see. My apologies. Okay. Do you have a projected release date for him?
The information that the department has received is he would be released on November 10th.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Can you clarify, Ms. Gonzalez, what sort of institution he's in?
Yes, sir. So at the beginning of this year, Mr. Castro Sr. obtained a PI charge. At that time, he was on probation for the charge of enticing a minor. That when probation attempted to revoke him and incarcerate him, the judge actually gave him a chance and stated that he could be sent to the 90-day Safe P program. So he's at the East Texas Correctional Facility in Henderson, Texas. I also wanted to add that he also failed to comply with his probation stipulations, which included the sex offender courses. That's one of the reasons why that probation also tried to revoke him that day.
What county is that charge out of?
Kendall County. It was Miss Castro's older daughter.
All right. Ms. Savage?
Ms. Gonzalez, do you believe the department made many efforts to try to work with this mother in alternative forms prior to seeking legal removal?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe that any lesser court involvement would have been feasible with how resistant she has been to any kind of changes?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you believe the department obtaining temporary managing conservatorship to be in the best interest of the children?
I do, yes.
And do you believe their placement right now is meeting all of their needs at this time?
I do, yes.
And the home study has been submitted. Has it been returned yet? If you're aware?
Not to my knowledge. I believe it's been submitted.
Okay. But the department will continue to work with placement to ensure that they have any services and supports in place for the children.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at this time, just given how deep mom's addiction is, do you believe it would be in the best interest of the children that there not be any visits until she engages in some sort of treatment?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Where are the children placed at this point in time?
They're placed with maternal grandparents in Kendall County.
What was the date of that placement?
I believe, sorry, Judge, let me look back.
Okay.
I believe it was October 21st, 2024.
You believe it's in their best interest to remain there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Any other questions for Ms. Gonzalez? No. Okay. Next witness, Ms. Thompson.
No further witnesses, Your Honor. The department rests.
Again, Ms. Castro is not here. And just for the record, after I removed her, she did not attempt to come back into the waiting room or the courtroom. Mr. Cabrera, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I rest.
Ms. Savage?
No, Your Honor.
Argument? Ms. Thompson?
Your Honor, the department believes that it's in the best interest of Mila and Robert Castro to be temporarily placed with their maternal grandparents, and that the department be designated as the temporary managing conservator. Given the testimonial evidence that was presented today in today's hearing, it shows that there was immediate harm and danger to the physical safety of the children. As for now, it is not safe for both Mila and Robert to return to the residence of their mom, of their parents. And as such, the department requests the court to grant the department's motion for emergency removal.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Mr. Cabrera?
I'll waive, Your Honor.
Ms. Savage?
Your Honor, I am aligned with the department today. It does not appear Ms. Castro has the ability to meet her children's needs and is suffering from a severe addiction herself. She didn't really even seem very sober in this hearing alone. So I do believe that the department being involved and the children remaining in temporary managing conservatorship of the department is in their best interest. I believe the department has made reasonable efforts to try to prevent removal, but this mother is not open to taking any kind of a help or assistance, and she's very combative and hostile. So I would also ask that the court order that no visits occur until mom engages in some sort of alcohol or drug treatment. I worry about the children being taken to a visitation center, mom showing up drunk or high and causing a huge scene or trying to run with the children, police being called, and it just be way more traumatic than it needs to be. So I do believe that would be in the best interest of the kids at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Savage. CASA?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm testifying because I had an opportunity to see the children when they were placed at the emergency shelter briefly before going to be placed with their maternal grandparents. The children were able to communicate their understanding of why they couldn't be living with their parents, and they expressed that they wanted to live with their maternal grandparents and be back in their old school and be able to be closer to family. So I do believe that placement is appropriate and in the children's best interest. It appears that the mother is not in a position at this time to provide them with the stability and safety that they need. And we are in agreement with temporary managing conservatorship to the department and working a full service plan with the parents.
Thank you, Ms. Hardy. All right, for the purposes of the full adversary hearing, pursuant to Chapter 262, court finds that all parties entitled to citation and notice were duly cited and served. Court finds that Mr. Castro is currently incarcerated in a safety facility and is represented here by counsel, Mr. Cabrera. Although Mr. Castro has not appeared in opposition to this suit and requested an attorney, I will maintain Mr. Cabrera's appointment due to the difficulty of Mr. Castro participating due to his incarceration. Court finds that Ms. Castro, Amy Castro, appeared, at our last hearing, and the court reset the case and ordered her to appear today. And she did appear. Ms. Castro appeared without an attorney, although she had expressed to this court on the record last week that she had retained an attorney. There have been no filings received, and the court has received information that the attorney designated or identified by Ms. Castro has stated they do not represent her. The court gave Ms. Castro the opportunity to represent herself, but she unfortunately could not contain her behavior. Court will put it on the record that she appeared to be under the influence of something. She didn't appear to be able to keep her eyes open. She was not near as alert as she was last week. She was unable to control her body movements, but she denied that she was under the influence of anything or that she was ill. Court finds that the department has proved by clear and convincing evidence that there was sufficient evidence, or excuse me, not clear and convincing evidence, sufficient evidence to satisfy a person of ordinary prudence and caution that there was a danger to the physical health or safety of the children caused by an act or failure to act of the person entitled to possession, and for the children to remain in the home is contrary to their welfare. The urgent need for protection required the immediate removal of the child, and reasonable efforts consistent with the circumstances providing for the safety of the children were made to eliminate or prevent their removal. Reasonable efforts have been made to enable the children to return home, but there's a substantial risk of a continuing danger if the children are returned home. I'm going to name the Department of Family and Protective Services / Belong as the temporary managing conservator of the children, Mila Castro and Robert Castro. Court will name the parents, Amy Castro and Robert Castro, as the temporary possessory conservators. I'll defer child support and medical support at this time. The court will order the parties to attend a family group conference to develop family plans of service that are narrowly tailored to address the concerns that brought the children into care. Court will find that the placement with the grandparents at this time in Kendall County is appropriate in meeting the needs of the children and in their best interest to continue at this time. Do I need to order a home study, or does everybody feel like that's being taken care of?
It's already been submitted, Your Honor, so I don't think the order is necessary. I would ask, can the FGC be virtual, given dad's distance and mom's? Well, I don't know. If mom requests in person, I would not be opposed, but I don't know if she'll appear.
If mom does not request in person, then yes, it may be virtual. I'm going to order mom to defer child support, medical support this time, and I'm ordering mom to inpatient rehab as soon as the bed is available. She will have no visitation with the children until she engages and addresses her substance abuse problem, because I have the same concerns about safety. I don't like doing that. I want her to be able to have contact with the children, but if she were to show up to a visit the way she showed up to court today, it would be a disaster. And it's not good for the kids. It's not good for them to see their mother like that. They probably have seen her like that too much already, and that's a wrong we need to right starting now. So she will need to engage, and she needs to go to inpatient ASAP. Once she does, visitation will be an hour. We'll start at an hour every other week, and we'll increase that with progress and agreement of the parties or order of the court. Going to I'm torn on whether I should appoint someone to represent her at this point in time, because she has stated on the record she is not indigent. So I'm going to ask the parties to update the court. Just send an email, Ms. Thompson, by November 15th to Ms. Greenlee on whether or not the department has been able to make any progress with the mother. Because what I'm concerned about is getting months down the road in this case without her having counsel that not only for her benefit, but it causing us a problem later on down the road that she wasn't represented by counsel at this stage in the game. I have to make the admonishment that the state of Texas gives parents in CPS cases 12 months to demonstrate they can provide a safe, stable, violence and drug-free home. In the event they cannot do so, the rights of the children are subject to restriction and or termination. Anything I failed to address, Ms. Thompson?
No, Your Honor, you covered everything.
Thank you all for your time and your service. I do
Here,
appreciate it.
Did Miss Gonzalez have something? She raised her hand.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that, Ms. Gonzalez.
Sorry, Judge. I just wanted to inform you that when I attempted to make a visit with Amy at her apartment complex, the leasing agent there was putting a notice on her door that she had not paid her October rent. So I would just have concerns that I know she's saying she's not indigent, but there's definitely concerns about stability in her financial status.
Okay. I'm going to appoint Maureen Giannis to represent her. Ms. Greenlee, if we can get that appointment done. Because I have the same suspicions I've had them since the beginning that that she's not able to afford an attorney. So let's go ahead and put her on there. I think with Ms. Gonzalez's testimony, it confirms what I've been thinking all along. I appreciate that information. So you don't have to do the update, Ms. Thompson. Let's just get Ms. Giannis on the case and get her working on it. Okay. Anything further? All right. Thank you all for your time and your service. And nothing further. I'll see you. All parties are excused. Have a good afternoon.